Hi everyone, again I welcome you all to my lecture class. This is Dr. Sangeeta Chaudhary, and in my today's class I'm going to talk about a very important topic, that is jugular venous pressure or JVP. JVP is a very important part of the general physical examination as well as an integral part of the examination of cardiovascular system. Now let's see what is JVP. JVP or jugular venous pressure is actually the reflection of the pressure changes in the right atria. The pressure changes in the right atria occurs during the various phases of cardiac cycle, which is reflected back into the jugular vein. Now, why JVP is important? JVP is important from diagnostic as well as from a treatment point of view also. In certain conditions, the JVP will be raised than the normal. For example, in case of heart failure, in case of cardiac tamponade, in case of constrictive pericarditis, or any conditions with volume overload or hyperdynamic circulation, JVP will be raised. Now, there is something known as JVP waveforms, which I am going to come later. From the various characteristics of the waveform also we can diagnose certain diseases. For example, atrial fibrillation, tricuspid stenosis, tricuspid regurgitation, and again cardiac tamponade and constrictive pericarditis. These things we can diagnose from the various waveform abnormalities of the various waveforms in the JVP. Now, for treatment point of view also it is very important, because if we are treating a patient of just for example I am saying, if we are treating a patient of heart failure, then with the success of the treatment the JVP will come down. JVP is measured in the right internal jugular vein. The right internal jugular vein, it lies just beneath the medial portion of the right sternocleidomastoid muscle, and just lateral to the internal jugular vein lies the external jugular vein, but we are not concerned with the external jugular vein. Sometimes there may be some confusion in identifying the internal jugular vein and the carotid pulse. Now, there is certain points by which we can differentiate between the venous pulsation and the arterial or carotid pulsation. Just for example, in carotid pulsation there will be only one pulse or one positive wave, whereas in venous pulsation, that is pulsation in the internal jugular vein, there will be two pulses or two positive waves. The pulsation in the vein can be obliterated by compression, whereas pulsation in the artery or carotid pulse cannot be obliterated with any pressure over it. Other than that also, in the internal jugular vein there will be a definite upper level, definite height of the venous pulsation, whereas in the carotid pulsation there will be no definite upper level. So these are the few important clinical points by which we can differentiate between IJV and pulsation in the carotid artery. Now let's see how the measurement of jugular venous pressure is done. We should make the patient lie down at 45 degree, okay, 45 degree position, and then we should take the vertical height from the sternal angle. Okay, suppose this is the sternal angle, then we will take the the vertical height from the sternal angle, and we will see the height of the JVP. Okay, so actually we can keep two ruler, and then we can keep one ruler just vertical to the sternal angle, and one ruler from the height of the jugular venous pulse, and this height, okay, this height will be the JVP. Height of JVP. The normal height of JVP is less than 3 cm. Anything more than 3 cm will be abnormal or raised JVP. For the better visualization of jugular venous pressure, we can shine a torch just diagonally or tangentially in the patient's neck, which will be very helpful. Now let's talk about the waveforms of JVP, which is very important. There are 3 positive waves and 2 negative waves in the JVP waveform. First positive wave is A, then positive wave C and V, and negative waves are descent, X descent and Y descent. Now let's see the mechanism behind all these waves. If we know the mechanism behind all these waves, we can easily remember the waves and the various abnormalities which will help us in diagnosis of certain conditions. Let's see. This is just a diagrammatic representation of the heart. Suppose this is right atria, okay, this is right atria, right ventricle, tricuspid valve in between right atria and ventricle, left atria and left ventricle. Now we are concerned with the right side of the heart, that is right atria and right ventricle. Now what happens? Why there is A wave? A wave is because of right atrial contraction. When the right atria contracts, there will be increased pressure in the right atria, which will be reflected in the internal jugular vein. So there will be increased height of the jugular venous pressure. So this will give rise to the A waves. Now what happens next? Next, there will be closure of the tricuspid valve. After the atrial contraction is over, definitely there will be closure of the tricuspid valve. Now there will be a phase of isovolumetric contraction in the right ventricle. So due to the isovolumetric contraction in the right ventricle, the tricuspid valve gets bulged into the right atria. Because of isovolumetric contraction of the right ventricle, there will be increased pressure in the right ventricle, which will push the tricuspid valve into the right atria. So bulging of the tricuspid valve into the right atria, thereby increasing the pressure in the right atria, which will again be reflected into the jugular venous pressure, giving rise to a positive wave, that is C wave. Now what happens next? After the isovolumetric contraction phase is over, there will be opening of the pulmonary valve and there will be blood flowing into the pulmonary circulation. So there will be relaxation of the right ventricle. Due to the relaxation of the right ventricle, the tricuspid valve will again come down and there will be relaxation of the right atria. So because of relaxation of the right atria, there will be decreased pressure in the jugular vein, thereby resulting in the X descent. Now why there is V wave? After the atrial relaxation, then the next thing will be the filling of the right atria. Okay, there will be blood from superior and inferior vena cavas which fill up the right atria, and because of filling of blood into the right atria, okay, there will be increased pressure in the right atria, which will again be reflected back into the jugular vein, resulting in the positive V wave. Okay. Now next, what happens? Once the atria is filled, then there will be opening of the tricuspid valve. Okay, and due to the opening of tricuspid valve, the blood will flow from right atria to the right ventricle, and because of blood flowing from the right atria to the right ventricle, there will be decreased pressure in the right atria, which will be reflected as the Y descent, or the second negative wave, that is Y. So this is about the mechanism behind the various positive and negative waves as we see in the jugular venous waveforms. Now there are certain common abnormalities I wanted to discuss. common abnormalities of the waveforms by which we can diagnose certain diseases. Okay, so just for example, absent A wave. We do see absent A wave in case of atrial fibrillation. I'll tell you why. As we have already discussed, A wave is due to right atrial contraction. Because of right atrial contraction, there is increase in pressure in the right atria, which is reflected back into the internal jugular vein. But in case of atrial fibrillation, the atria is unable to contract in a coordinated way, and there is almost no definite contraction of the right atria, and because of this there will be absence in the A wave. Okay, easy. Now next, sometimes in JVP there will be large or a big A wave. Why there is a big A wave? Big A wave suggests that the right atria is contracting more. So when the right atria will contract more, if there is any hurdle of blood from going from right atria to the right ventricle, then the right atria has to contract more. Just for example, if there is tricuspid stenosis in the tricuspid valve, then right atria has to work more, contract more to push the blood into the right ventricle. So in case of tricuspid stenosis, there will be a large or a big A wave. Other than tricuspid stenosis, conditions like right ventricular hypertrophy or pulmonary hypertension, pulmonary stenosis, in all these cases also there will be a big A wave. Now coming to the V wave, the V wave can be large in case of tricuspid regurgitation. As we have already discussed, why there is V wave. V wave is because of the filling of the right atria. Because of filling of blood in the right atria results in increased pressure in the right atria, which is reflected back into the internal jugular vein. So when there is tricuspid regurgitation, that means the blood flow is not only from the vena cavas into the right atria, but also blood from the right ventricle goes back into the right atria due to regurgitation. So that means there is much more amount of blood in the right atria. Right atria has to accommodate a large amount of blood, and that's why there is increase in pressure, which results in a large V wave. Very interesting, isn't it? Now coming to the descent, the rapid X descent is a very, very important point seen in cardiac tamponade. Okay, and rapid Y descent is very much related to constrictive pericarditis. So if we can assess the descents, X descent and Y descent, if we see a rapid X descent, means we can think of cardiac tamponade, or rapid Y descent, we can think of constrictive pericarditis. So this is all about JVP, or jugular venous pressure in short. I hope it was helpful, and thank you for your patience hearing.